So majority of mechanical keyboards on the market are wired, and with good reason, as a wired connection will allow for the lowest latency possible, which may be appealing to many people, especially gamers and such. But wires can be a hassle, messy, and can tether you to just one spot. However, there are other options out there such as Bluetooth adapters, DIY modifications, and of course a small range of wireless mechanical keyboards. Today we'll be checking out a wireless mechanical keyboard from Rapoo, named the KX. Inside the retail box is another box with all the contents inside it. Included is some warranty information and a quick start guide. Next is the keyboard itself and a long white micro USB cable, which is not the regular mini USB cable. At first glance, it's not your traditional looking mechanical keyboard. Instead, it looks more like a normal consumer rubber dome keyboard for normal desktop use that can be bought anywhere. I have the white version, however this keyboard can be had in black, blue, yellow and red, but these are harder to find. The keyboard is quite compact, being a 70-ish% size keyboard. In terms of the key layout size, it's the same approximate width of a 60% keyboard, however it has the capacitive function keys on top. Compared to the Poker 2 60% mechanical keyboard, it is slightly wider because of the thicker frame around the keys and is much taller due to the function row. The keyboard is constructed of mainly metal and plastic. On top is a thin aluminium top plate which has a brush finish, which looks really sleek and premium. However, it does hold fingerprints, which is a known problem with the material and finish. When turned on, the keyboard is backlit in a nice clean white, which is always my preferred backlight color as it goes with anything, and this also has 3 brightness levels. Up top is the function row, which is also lit up in white, and this function row is a capacitive strip that vibrates when touched, and is a design choice that really didn't need to happen in my opinion. Instead of going with more mechanical key switches, they decided to do some unnecessary innovation which goes against functionality and ease of use. In my opinion, nothing would have been wrong with just having normal keys for the function row, but that would look less splashy for the market they may have been targeting. They're not as responsive and reactive in comparison to mechanical keys, and don't really fare well when pressed in quick succession, resulting in poor registration. They hold secondary functions, however, accessed via the function key at the bottom. When the function key is held, the function row illuminates in blue. To have a look at the keyboard internals, including the key switches, the unit must be opened. The keycaps unfortunately can't be removed without removing the aluminium top plate because of the shape of the keycaps. The keyboard is held together by small Phillips head screwdrivers. I removed some keys by hand, but I recommend using a wire keycap puller, as a plastic ring puller will be really hard to use. I didn't want to completely disassemble it because of all the connections it had at the back of the keyboard, but this is pretty easy to take apart and put back. All opened up, we can see the PCB with all the mechanical switches mounted to it, and the capacitive function row on top. Like many of their other mechanical keyboards, Rapoo have opted to use the Kailh Yellow switches. So these are basically Chinese clones of the German-made Cherry MX switches, and is between the specs of the Cherry MX Reds and the Blacks. Therefore it is a linear switch, meaning it has no tactile bump or click, making it a smooth depression. If you want more information regarding this switch, then check out this other video which goes more in depth. All in all, it's a solid switch which has a good actuation force of 50 grams, which is in my opinion a good balanced weight in comparison to the red and blacks. The key switches are also PCB mounted instead of plate mounted, meaning there's no metal plate that is between the switches and the PCB. Majority of mechanical keyboards have plate mounted switches, which is a contributing factor in how sturdy and heavy the keyboards are, with a large metal plate. However, this keyboard doesn't have the metal plate, which means the keyboard is much more lightweight than traditional keyboards. With this and the combination of the thin aluminium top plate and the plastic bottom shell, it is a really light keyboard for mechanical standards. You can of course make this a Cherry MX keyboard or whatever switch you want if you really wanted to with a bit of work. Looking at the aluminium top plate, it is really thin and light and has precise cutouts for all the keys, so no aftermarket keycaps will fit correctly. The bottom shell is ABS plastic, much alike to most other mechanical keyboards, and has ribbing across the bottom surface for reinforcement, as well as tons of screw bosses. The keycaps are actually quite a pleasant surprise as they are actually double shot, meaning the lettering is separate to the rest of the cap, which maximizes durability and removes any chances of the letters fading away. Unlike standard keycaps, these caps are much more uniform in height and are much more shallow to make the keyboard more streamlined. Wire stabilizers are used, which are slightly different to the Co-Star wire stabilizers, but are of the same concept and are very easy to remove and put in. Since this is a wireless keyboard, it has to rely on its built-in battery to power it when it isn't plugged in. Battery life on the lithium battery has been varying between users. Some go for about 2 to 3 days, which is of heavy use, and others go for about a week or more, which is probably more light use. Overall, this isn't your typical mechanical keyboard. It's aimed more at the casual consumer market looking for a more premium keyboard. It sacrifices some functionality for sleek looks and a compact and light form factor, and it does use Kailh Yellow switches instead of the German-made Cherry MX switches. But I really think that's just fine, and in my opinion, yellows are Kailh's best creation, even though they're actually a discontinued switch. The keyboard is about non-standard as you can get in every department, so modularity is at a minimum. But it's definitely well built, and at the end of the day, it is a mechanical keyboard and will give you that mechanical experience.